Grumpy Pete's Christmas by Layla Musavi, read by Lucy Eaton. Bumbles is famed for its Christmas lights, which dazzle throughout December nights. Each year, townsfolk pick an honoree to switch on Bumbles' huge Christmas tree. Till now, there remained one unlit abode, a drab odd house just up the road, a house that belongs to one Grumpy Pete, the meanest grouch you could ever meet. But hope rumbles in Bumbles, for Pete's heart of stone has softened since building a children's home for a nephew who'd appeared out of the blue, and 25 others from the orphanage too. Although he'd thought all kids were pests, when faced with 26 homeless guests, he'd worked to keep them safe and protected. He'll join this year, the townsfolk suspected. So, on November 16th, while checking his mail, Pete finds a letter that turns him pale. From the mayor's office in glittery ink, Pete reads in the kitchen and grips the sink. Dear Pete Grumble, the vote has been cast. You're the face of Christmas in Bumbles at last. You'll turn on the tree, be on all our cards. Congratulations, sir. P.S. Wear something smart. What? Pete squeals, impossibly loud. I loathe Christmas, hate tinsel, don't like crowds. I despise most noise and detest fake snow. Pass the pen, kids, I'll reply with a no. I've not put up lights in 50 years. I don't like joy, I like festive tears. Ignoring Christmas is my sole ambition. Why break a lifetime's Christmas tradition? Though his words spill out without much thought, the children are clearly rather distraught. In fact, they're downright horrified. You don't like Christmas? They screech and cry. So no stockings, they shriek, at the end of our beds. No turkey, no carrots, no gingerbreads, no presents, no tree, no cards, no games, no crackers, no carols, no pantomime dames. Pete peers back. Who's Carol? He asks. And all 26 children finally grasp. Pete has no idea what Christmas is. That's why he's in such a tiz. During dinner, Pete listens, his grumbling paused, as talk turns to naughty lists and Santa Claus. Pete pretends to focus on Martin's soup when they talk about celebrating as a group. They turn to Pete with hopeful faces. If we promise to tidy, John pleads through his braces. And I promise to cook, Martin keenly suggests. Can we please do Christmas? Kate requests. Fine, Pete settles, rather peeved. Prepare for Santa coming Christmas Eve, but don't be upset when I don't join in. Christmas, he grumbles, is not my thing. After school each day, children decorate. With a sigh, Pete holds their tree up straight. He grunts at all the gingerbread baking, frowns at all the paper chain making. While the house fills up with merry song, Pete snorts at stockings, sees something's wrong. You've hung 27, that's a mistake. This one is for you, Pete, whispers Kate. For me? Pete tuts. What are these? Christmas wishes, replies Simmy, and she hands Pete letters in a neat little pile. Pete swallows hard and stares for a while. Then he blinks and he thinks and realises right there, Christmas means lots to these kids, even if he doesn't care. The day arrives to turn on the lights. All townsfolk come out in the freezing night. After speeches and music, Pete turns on the switch. But rather than cheer, Pete starts to twitch. To everyone's shock, he points at the air. Santa won't see these from way up there. Is this it? He asks. We need double at least. Mr. Mayor, your light budget must be increased. Pete ignores the confusion of Bumbles' crowd. How did the grump, who said, no lights allowed, be suddenly mad that they've not done enough? But for Pete, this is incredibly serious stuff. His mind races, for he can guarantee it. Bumbles is small and Santa won't see it. They need more lights, or come Christmas Day, Santa will miss it in his sleigh. And what of the kids? Will he know they're in town? What chimney does Santa plan to come down? Will he want some dinner, fresh soup or canned? Does he intend to fill each stocking by hand? And what of this naughty list? Is there some sort of test? How can Pete prove that these kids are the best? Soon a huge plan forms in Pete's worried mind. Bumbles must be ready for Christmas time. He works all night, he wraps up warm. He finally returns just before dawn, but instead of climbing into bed, he gets out a pen and paper instead. Dear Santa, I know we haven't always got along. Well, why would we? You haven't given me any presents since I was 6, but this isn't about me. I am writing to ask you not to forget 26 wonderful children. They may not do every single thing right every single day, but in my opinion, they are all still very, very good. I'm not asking for anything big, but if you could give them one tiny thing to prove to them how good they are, I would be very grateful. We live in the wonky house close to the sea in a town called Bumbles. With all due grumpiness, Pete. The sun comes up. Townsfolk squint through the sleet at a reindeer runway down Bumbles High Street. The town hall is wrapped like a massive present. A paper chain zigzags across Bumbles Crescent. Tinsel and baubles hang on every bus. Who, asks the chemist, has made all this fuss? And they frown at Pete's house, now lit like a star, the brightest house in Bumbles by far. Christmas Eve comes, kids tucked up in bed. Pete tiptoes out with the book they've read. To the distant sound of the local choir, Pete falls asleep next to the fire. "Ho, ho, ho, Pete," Santa chuckles. "Did you doubt I'd come?" Pete wakes, sees full stockings for everyone. "Can you blame me?" says Pete. "I got no gifts as a boy." "Oh, I tried, Peter. Everyone deserves a toy. But each year you became more of a grump. You were deliberately mean, always had the hump. And I heard what you said to your sister that night." "Oh, that's enough," grumbles Pete. "I know you're right." "But this year you've changed, and I won't ignore. You are no longer mean like you were before. This gift from me I've longed to bring. I knew one day you'd do the right thing." A tap of his nose, and Santa is gone, leaving Pete wide awake all night long, gazing with wonder at the tiny toy that he had wanted since he was a little boy. Morning comes, children race downstairs. To their surprise, the whole town is there. In the centre is Pete with a smile so huge. "Kids, this year we're all spending Christmas with you." So do the townsfolk regret any of this? Do they wish Pete had given Christmas a miss? Not at all. In fact, it's the closest they've been, and the best Christmas Bumbles has ever seen. The end. Grumpy Pete's Christmas has been brought to you by Scrapbook Pictures, written by Layla Musavi and read by Lucy Eden.